Who better than me? Welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy, Bass the Kid. If you could please like and subscribe, I'd much appreciate it. If you checked out the other two videos, thank you very much. If you haven't, go give those a watch. You know, your opinions are always valid. I'm always looking for feedback. Like, I'm new in this game, just trying to get the channel to grow. I'm just trying to grow as well. Also, just let me know in the comments if you prefer the current setup I'm trialing today, or if you prefer what's been christened as Bass's Corner for not other platforms, not myself, of course. But just let me know which one you prefer, and you know that will probably be the one that I take moving forward. But I just wanted to have a quick chat because I just came off the Lara Warrington 2 card. I was literally just watching it on the TV a moment ago. I just wanted to kind of give my overall thoughts. Everything's kind of off the top of the head. Nothing here is rehearsed, so you know, forgive me in advance for any errors that I might make. First and foremost, I want to give a quick shout out to Hopi Price, who was on the Before the Bell card prior to the actual event starting on the TV. I actually was very impressed with his performance against name was Hussein. I'm not sure if it was something Hussein or Hussein something. I don't really remember off the top of my head at the moment, so I do apologize. It's been a long day. Didn't bring it up with me. Literally everything, like I said, it's off the top of the head. So ultimately, I actually liked the performance. It was close, clinical. He busted his face up pretty badly. Hope he looks a bit more spiteful. And it's weird because he looks like he should be in like the Spider-Man movies from Marvel. He just got that face. It just looks like it was made to be in one of those. But ultimately, he's a very good boxer coming along. I'm interested to see the journey, and he's one of the Dave Coldwell prospects that I actually like. Moving forward, we had Ebony Bridges versus Gangloff. Again, her first name escapes me at the moment. But I remember when Gangloff faced Ellie Scottney, and Ellie Scottney pretty much beat her convincingly from round 1 all the way to the end of the fight. But then you've got Ebony, who's technically a world title challenger, who's supposed to be a world level fighter at the minute, who's basically gone life and death with her. Questions now, I guess, have to be asked of what level she's really at. I mean, if I was just going to hazard a guess, not even a guess, let me say a prediction, I would actually predict Ellie Scottney to quite soundly beat her easily. And she's still a prospect. What is she at the minute? 3-0? 2-0? 3-0? She hasn't had many, but the way that she has gone against her opponents compared to sort of Ebony, like, you can see where the limitations are, and you can see where having that amateur background can really help someone hone their craft. Problem is, obviously, Ebony is like sort of older in age, so does the athleticism go? Is that the kind of thing she's trading on? The catching and shooting, is that what she would rather have in place of more keeping the head off the line, moving, you know, sort of moving into range quicker? Can she get there? I mean, today she looked, it's weird, you're 118 pounds, but she actually looked really sort of stodgy and stocky. And I don't know if that's due to maybe not training correctly for this fight, maybe just her natural build, because she's a naturally slimmer person, but she doesn't look it when she gets in the ring. And I don't know if maybe even part of that is to do with, you know, the cosmetic enhancements. I remember I posted a question on another platform to her like months ago. I didn't get to post the whole thing because, to be honest, I did it as a super chat, but I was being cheap, so I didn't get to write it the way I probably should have. So she may have taken offense to the way it came across, which I, you know, did sort of address at the time. But I just said, like, if it was to improve your performances, like improve your fluidity, like the way you know, your body mechanics, everything, would you get the reduction? And I remember she categorically said no. So clearly, obviously, that's a part of her lifestyle marketing. That's a part of the brand. So I get it. I don't think it really helps her in the ring though. It almost looks like it's weighing her down. The gas tank did not look good today. I mean, she's never looked like she's got the greatest of gas tanks, but because she's normally just standing in front of someone in the pocket in the majority of her fights that weren't the Courtney fight and weren't this one, it's never really mattered as much because she hasn't had to move much. But when she's having to move and get around the ring and try and chase people and she's having to lunge in with shots, that clearly seems to be something that's an issue. I hope that the hand isn't as bad as it looked afterwards because yeah, it looked quite swollen, quite bad. Could be a break. Maybe it's just badly swollen. Maybe a tendon, like a bruised tendon or something. That would probably be sort of best case scenario, but we'll see. Um, but it's just telling of, is this her level? You know, can she actually raise to a higher level than this, or is this kind of where the journey ends in terms of ascension to the higher ranks? Yeah, I know she wants the Courtney fight again. Maybe she could win that, but ultimately, can any of them beat Adina Thorsland? I don't think so. Yuli Hong Luna? Definitely not. So, but either way, look, we'll see where it goes. Congratulations on the win. I personally did have Gangloff winning the fight from what I saw. I missed the first 2 rounds, I will be honest, but I had it sort of 5 rounds to one, just kind of from a general watch. I didn't score it properly, but from what I saw, it looked like yeah, Gangloff won sort of 5 of those rounds. So the win was obviously a lucky. Well, whether it was lucky or not, I guess that's subjective. But moving on, let's see what happens next. Obviously, she's, as I said, because she got the hand injury, she might take a long while out, maybe a good 6 or 7 months. Go back to Australia for the first time in what, half a year. See the family, chill out, relax, and just reevaluate and see what's next on the list. The next fight after that was Straffon and Maxi Hughes. Now, I've got to give Maxi Hughes a whole heap of praise because, like, Strafford made him look like an artist today. Literally, it was like art watching him in the ring. The way he was moving, slightly moving in range, and then pulling out just as Strafford's going to take his shots. Then stopping, not even sort of countering straight away. Literally taking a moment to pause, sitting down on the shots to make sure that he is able to generate more power into them to sting Strafford, because we know that he doesn't necessarily have a huge knockout rate, but he looked very, very good in the ring today. With Strafford though, something looked off with him. Now, I know that him and Lara had to go to Croatia and quarantine over there for, like, what was it, 10 days before they was allowed to come to the UK, so they had to do part of their training over there. I don't know if maybe moving through the 2 time zones changed something, or the disruption. I'm not sure. Maybe even the weather change. Obviously, from when he first came back in, like, May for fight camp. Not May, sorry, June, where it's actually quite a bit warmer here, even though there was that 1 week of rain and whatnot, compared to how it is now. I'm not sure. Not making any excuses and not trying to downplay Maxi Hughes' victory, because it was comprehensive and it was a very, very good victory, and I'm actually real pleased for him. The fact that he's got that. He said he wants to go to the US and fight Devin Haney next. Don't know if that will happen, but if it does, hey, good on you. Like, do your thing, get your money, and let's see, like, what the skills are really saying when you get in there with one of the top operators in the division. Next, we got Conor Benn against Adrian Granados. Now, this fight was, I think, an eye opener to the public when it comes to Conor. Like, one thing I do appreciate about Conor, like, his drive and his work ethic is second to none. Can't fault it whatsoever. His passion is unquestionable, but I feel like the passion and the intensity could ultimately end up being his undoing, because when you're literally looking for power shot after power shot after power shot, not setting anything up, when you've got someone that's moving, like constantly moving, slipping, riding, like half a step in, like stepping back, moving to the side before you're able to even shoot, it burns out the tank. Like, when looking towards the end of that fight, Conor looked, even he looked frustrated. Like, look, I want to stand here and fight, and you're fighting, and someone else is moving around. So that's supposed to be you developing an IQ for the ring. Should be knowing, I need to find a way to cut the distance. I need to slow this guy down, and the headshots ain't working. Let me work on the body more. Like, it took, from what I can remember, it was almost like 3 or 4 rounds of solid swinging for the head before Connor started trying to invest in the body properly. Like, yeah, he threw a couple body shots here and there prior to that, but nothing was, okay, this guy is constantly avoiding my power punches, or they're just grazing him, or he's riding them. Let me work on the body. Let me get him focused solely down there, so that when I do next come over the top, he's not going to be expecting it, because all I've been doing is working to the body, tiring out the legs. It just seemed as if he needs a lot more work outside of the conditioning side of things. There's a long way to go, and obviously you can't be throwing power punches to the point where you're doing Michael Jackson spins in the middle of the ring and finishing it like, maybe he thought he was actually in Mexico with the Ole pose at the end. I don't know. Like, literally, that's not, that's not way, that's not what you do. So I feel like there's some growing to go, and I feel like the level he's at, the people he's fighting, I think he needs another 2 or 3 of those fights before you realistically think of stepping him up. Or you can go the tough route and give him a fight that he's likely to lose, to then give him the reality check of, okay, now that's happened, this is what I need to work on, because this is what caused me to lose in the first place. And I don't know which route I prefer, to be fair. So I guess we wait and see. Next one we had was Katie Taylor against Jennifer Han. Now, I didn't know much about Jennifer Han. Like, I knew the name, and I remember the fact that she was like a featherweight champion, but I hadn't really watched much of her fights. I didn't watch the fight she done at 130, and then obviously I know that she's been out. They had a lot of sort of stories and like videos on there trying to sort of build the fight and the narrative on YouTube and on the Zone app, but I chose not to really watch a lot of it, because I just kind of wanted to just go into the fight fresh. But I knew that obviously she'd recently given birth, like about 6-7 months ago. Now, I'm struggling to understand how she became the IBF mandatory off the back of the inactivity. I'm not sure if it was the IBF belt that she wore at 126, but I know the ruling is generally only reserved for, like, I think it's a WBA and the WBO, that you can challenge sort of the champion or weight above you if you move up. But jumping up 2 weights, not sure how that correlated. I'm not sure how she got the mandatory shot either. But looking at her, it doesn't look to me as if she's fully healed from the pregnancy experience. Like, she was wearing a body in the ring to hide the fact that her belly's still extended and like has not sort of snapped back to where it should be. and you could, and even if it was a black one, you could clearly see in the ring, like her frame was just not where it should have been. So I don't know if this was the case of like she desperately needed to take this fight, or maybe some money was exchanged in order to get her the ranking, because she was supposed to be an easier touch. Katie Taylor even said it at the end of the fight. You know, she was supposed to be easier touch, but she came a lot more better than she a lot more aggressive than I expected. So ultimately, the fight itself wasn't a great performance from Taylor. Han didn't necessarily produce a great performance either. She looked to spoil a bit. I think she just wanted to make sure she went the distance and sort of nick it if she could. Um, Katie's not necessarily like a massive puncher anyway, so whether it was a case of worried about getting knocked out, I'm not sure. But like I said, she didn't really look right. I think it was too early for her to be back in the ring, especially at that level. And I would definitely think that maybe things like that should be regulated a bit better in future. But again, that's my opinion. Who am I, right? Okay, so now we got the main event. So Mauricio Lara against Josh Warrington, #2. Repeat or revenge? Ultimately, it was neither, because it ended after 2 rounds in a technical draw, which we realistically all know is a no contest, due to Josh Warrington repeatedly headbutting Lara in virtually the same spot and opening up a gruesome gash over his eye. Doctor came in at the end of round 2 as he was getting off the stools, had a look at the eye, said he can't go on with this. The referee called it off. I think it's a bit funny that the Warrington side was gesturing like they were, well, not Warrington himself, I mean the team, but they was just gesturing like, oh, where's your heart? You could have carried on. Lara didn't say I don't want to carry on. Like the doctor literally said, can't continue. This is too bad. We can't close this. It's horrid. And then it's also a bit funny that the same guy that walked through all of your guys' punches in the last fight and stopped him, that's the person whose heart you're questioning. Hmm. Okay, well, is what it is. I don't really know what's next in the plans. I mean, Lara's gonna need at least 6 months off, because that cut's gonna take at least 3 months to heal to the point that it's you can even it won't get split in sparring or anything else. And now, because of where it is, like that is the softest tissue, like on the face. Those kind of Once you normally get that kind of cut, they open very easily almost every time that you fight. So they might have to look at maybe some reconstructive surgery on it. They might have to keep him out a bit longer to sort of make it thicken up around that scar tissue. But yeah, he's going to be out for a while. Um, Eddie at the end of the show was saying he was looking for Warrington to get out again. He doesn't really want him just to be sitting around. He wants to get him out, I think, before the end of the year, because it's only 2 rounds. So we'll see kind of where he goes. It will be interesting what happens with this situation, but it's almost a guarantee that whatever Josh Warrington does, he's now not going to be the same person, because he's still got demons that he wasn't able to exercise today from the first Lara fight. And if he never gets to exercise those demons with a victory, or at least go in the distance a different way with Lara, I feel like that might hamper the rest of his performances moving forward. Whether he moves up, whether he stays where he's at. I think him in himself is desperate to kind of get that fight, but I think Eddie's got other plans. It'll be quite interesting to see how Kid Galahad fits into this little triangle, and whether they can even get some of the other belt holders into it. but ultimately we'll see kind of where we get to. And yeah, the card itself, and this is kind of a bad one. Like, it was on paper, the card was a very, very good card. But it's weird. You kind of find there's a lot of the cards that are really good on paper are the ones that seem to fail to deliver these days. So I mean, look, we had no main event. So if you was gonna rate it out of 10, like, the main event itself has got to get maybe a 2 or a 3, because it was starting to get somewhere, but it ended prematurely in a very unsatisfying way. The Katie Taylor fight, very dour. I'd probably give it a 4, maybe 4.5 if I wanted to be generous. Conor Ben and Granados, I give that a 5.5. You know, Conor did try and push the action. There was some good moments, but it just wasn't necessarily, as competitive as advertised. Granados said he was going to make it a war, ended up, sort of dancing around the ring, hitting and moving, being very negative, and almost in some kind of survival mode. Straffon and Hughes. Straffon's performance, let me do it in 2 parts. So Straffon's performance, like a 3. If that, he didn't look great at all. Like I said, I think something looked off with him. Hughes, a 9, because it was just clinical. Like, it was, like I said, it was a great performance, and like, take my hat off to him. So I guess the fight of the night has got to be Gangloff and Bridges. Like I said, from what I saw, it was the one with the most action, the most impact, the most intent, drama, controversy, to some people. From what I saw of it, I say I give that one entertainment wise, I give it a 6.5, maybe a 7. But the card overall, like, it's got to get a 4. Like, the promise of the card when I first saw it was going to be like a strong 8, 8.5, but failed to deliver. And you can't blame anyone for that. Like, sometimes things just don't mesh, they don't gel. But I was expecting something a lot better than what I got. And it's a really good thing that obviously this card has still happened while we're at the 199 point of the zone before the price increase. Because I feel like there would have been a lot of dissatisfied customers, would have been a lot of complaints. Oh, you've increased the price on us and now all of a sudden you're giving us dead content. That you'd have the hardcore saying that, the people who already subscribed. Looking at that, the new subscribers, the people that you're trying to bring on, would they have been happy to shell out based off of that moving forward? No, I mean, if you want to know my opinion on the DAZN thing, we've got the episode 2. You can check back there, because that's kind of where I go more into detail, break that down. But yeah, I mean, that was a fight card overall. So it is what it is. Lastly, just before I end this video, I want to obviously give my condolences to the family of Jeanette Zapata. Terrible thing, obviously, to lose your life so young, in the prime. You haven't even lived yet. A lot of things still to achieve. It was a really it's a sad situation, and I don't know a huge amount about the story. I didn't watch the fight, and out of respect, I won't watch the fight. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of drop that at the end of this, just to say it's a very sad situation. We all know that there are risks in the sport of boxing, and this unfortunately is just one of those times where those risks come to light, come to fruition, and you realize it. So yeah, rest in peace, and I hope the family are doing as well as possible at this time, and will be able to move forward. But yeah, that's another episode of the Hardcore Casual Down. I apologize if it's longer than I anticipated. It probably is, but you know, like I said, I'm still trying errors. I'm gonna try and get these videos down to sort of the 11, 12 minute mark at some point. But I just like to talk and give my thoughts maybe a bit too much at times. But yeah, also like I said, in the comments, if you can let me know if you like the new setup or if you prefer me in Bass's corner, I'd appreciate it. And I'll continue to try and keep improving sort of the channel, the content, and the setup, and everything else moving forward. But for now, hardcore casual out.